would you say that you're held to as high of a standard as the chief football pundit on Politics?
I'd say no. Actually, I haven't. To be fair, I think I get more slack than Lineker. To be fair,
Do you know what's mad? It's
He's
like
gone, isn't it?
whenever we want a proper political opinion, we always go to Henry Hill of Football Joe.
he's good.
NATO hawk, Henry Hill.
Yeah.
Not that he wouldn't be capable, but what I'm saying is, it's not his role, is it?
No,
Get back in your box. Look, so Gary Lineker has apparently quit Match of the Day over that rat emoji thing.
It is my right to post rats. Is that why he quit?
he was going anyway.
Yeah, but apparently he's not going to do the final Match of the Day next week. Apparently he's gone.
Gosh,
He's not even going to do next week.
Apparently not.
Do you know what? I did actually think last week the light looked like it had gone out of his eyes.
26 years, 26 long, hard years at the BBC coalface, and you post one rat emoji. One rat emoji and you're done for. Is that what a lifetime of service gets you?
I know.
Kim Davey. Is that what it gets you? I'm role playing. I'm being.
Imagine
Gary
how
Lineker
quick
here.
they could have got rid of Jimmy Savile.
it is a bit of an affront considering the corporation's relationship with actual paedophiles. And you're out after one social media post.
I don't think being a paedophile or like an alleged anti-Semite are synonymous. Like I don't think that they're interchangeable.
That's my point.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
the same.
Yeah.
Vorda said the same when we did it for Unfiltered. She was saying, like, you know, I was talking about the Tories and how bad they were and how we had to get them out, and I got sacked. But Hugh Edwards was still working at the BBC at that time.
Yeah.
And
But to be fair, you could argue he was being impartial there. He fancied everyone.
fucking hell. Good morning. You keeping up it? You keeping pace?
Am I
Keeping pace?
asleep?
Can I give my general opinion that I know people are going to be annoyed about?
That's why you're here.
Yeah. Wind her up. Let's go.
I think that it says something about sort of the British psyche or like our general sycophancy that like we're looking to like the football man as like the lead on Gaza, like or as the pariah of what is and is not a certain trope. I just think the whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree, because I agree and I agree and I don't. First of all, he has by dint of being one of sort of the greatest English footballers in our history, he has a huge platform, right? And so his opinions on things, for better or for worse, are relevant because of his fame. But I totally agree with the principle of, you know, maybe you shouldn't be getting your opinions about the refugee crisis and whether or not the language of the Conservative government echoes that of 1930s Germany from the man who used to play up front for England. You know, you can formulate your own opinions about these things without his input. But primarily for him, you know, and no disrespect to him, I just sort of see that posting. It's just quite boomer coded, I think. And you know, for better, it's like we all have older relatives who also have Instagram accounts who post things, and you look at it and go, either like that I think that's offensive. I think that's actually bordering into like racist or discriminatory or prejudicial or whatever. And you go, oh, you know, that meme you put or whatever that contained the rat emoji when it was talking about Jews. Like maybe I wouldn't have posted that, Dave. Like, I didn't mean to use your dad's name. I wasn't talking about him directly there. But, you know, Nick, my, you know, Nick, don't post that. That's probably quite bad. And you go, oh my God, I didn't even notice. But it's a problem for him because, you know, he has nearly 9 million followers on Twitter, right? And
yeah, but yes, I just think I was reading Reddit this morning. Because that's obviously where I...
Great way to start the day.
Yeah. Good morning, Vietnam. Anyway.
Am I the asshole?
Well, and then I went on to Mumsnet to just correct myself.
Yeah, course correct.
Jesus.
But I was on Reddit and I was like, isn't this sort of the state that we've got ourselves into with social media where... Do you remember during the Black Lives Matter movement, you had people who were posting like the black square and stuff like
You're
that?
welcome.
And people were, yeah, exactly. People were like, you're welcome.
I did it.
I've got people on Instagram who on their close friends story every day will be like, why is no one talking about this? It's like, you're posting this on your close friends story.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could go to a demo if you cared so much, or you could go and volunteer somewhere, or, you know, you could do something worthwhile. I was reading on Reddit this morning, people were arguing that Gary Lineker is the only person on the BBC who's ever made a proper point about Gaza. And I genuinely thought I was going to smash my face into a wall. It's like, that is your choice to only engage with Gary Lineker from the BBC rather than actually watch the breadth of programming. You've just had a documentary come out from Louis Theroux. I could name you a whole swathe of pundits who've appeared on Politics Live for the past couple of years who've talked in depth about the conflict. I'll just point you towards Taj Ali. I think that he has been thorough, investigative. He has been informative. It's not my fault if you only follow Gary Lineker.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's how you're getting your news. It's from people's Instagram stories.
And you're right. And that doesn't even touch on the actual sort of news gathering, right? That BBC
they're
News.
doing.
The World Service is sort of doing has one of the few places that had correspondent in Gaza, and you know Bowen and everybody else that reports on the region, and it's sort of it's people have this self-selecting. It's confirmation about itself because I saw Gary Lineker talking about it. And by the way, I don't think his opinions really. I'm thinking about the Amal Rajan interview. I don't think it was that controversial. The stuff he was saying was like, I've been watching what's happening, and I just don't think
Stop killing children.
Tens of thousands of children should be killed in this way. I don't have anything. I'm not saying
that's
that.
the sort of nuanced opinion that only someone on Match of the Day can make. Like, it's just.
Yeah, it reminds me of like during the election when people were like, wow, they're not reaching young people with their manifestos, and like they do vox pops with young people being like, none of these parties are reaching out to me. I don't know who to vote for. And it's like, well, they do have websites. Like if you actually cared, you could do the easiest thing in the world and seek out more information about this. Like your point of being like, I wonder, instead of being like, I have not received any content from the BBC about Gaza, therefore it doesn't exist. Instead of going like, I wonder what's on iPlayer. Like if you actually thought about it, if you did the second step, which is ever so slightly harder, instead of just like going to like brain rot TikTok again.
Well, it's like Schrodinger's Gaza, isn't it? I suppose.
There's also as well, I think.
Has anyone covered it? If I don't look, I'll never know.
No.
Sickening silence from the BBC.
Do you know the other thing? The other thing that sort of really does my head in about stuff like this is like, how do you think you know anything? How do you think you know anything?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, a lot of this is like citizen journalism because journalists have not been allowed to go into Gaza, right? So a lot of this is on the ground. And you know who is reporting a lot of that on the ground footage? I'm going to sit down. The BBC.
Yeah.
They're doing it.
Yeah, they're doing the journalism.
Is there a conversation to be had about, are we going to have to start being a lot more charitable to people on social media as time goes on? Because there is, anyone who uses social media, perhaps to the degree that we do, we have literally all done something by accident. I mean, like you have like your finger has slipped, or you have shared something unthinkingly. Like Gary Lineker saw that.
I don't think his finger slipped.
I don't think his finger slipped, but as in Ollie's point about a boomer relative not knowing the full context of a post, just seeing something like, oh yeah, pro-Palestine, sharing it, not thinking about the wider context. Are we going to have to start being more charitable to people on social media with like for like instinctive posting, or just like
do you know what
being able to explain stuff?
Do you know what it sometimes feels like? Did you ever see that tweet that was like, on Halloween, I write problematic under people's Halloween costumes. And then when they reply with question marks, they say, if you don't know, it's not my job to teach you. Sometimes I do feel a little bit like that because I think that there are very obvious tropes, right? That people are aware of and people understand. I don't think everyone is born being the pariah of all tropes. Do you know what I mean? Can I be honest? I probably flicked past that rat thing. I probably didn't even look at it. I do follow him. I probably just scrolled right past it. I actually don't think I would have known that was a trope.
Yeah, I think, the kind of, the sort of like rat imagery, infestation.
Is that what it is?
Well, it has, in Nazi propaganda, it's like, it's a thing there. And do you remember there was that, the octopus thing that happened on University Challenge, and there's Nazi propaganda of like the sort of the tentacles of the international Jewry and sort of infesting Germany and stuff like that. But
Oh yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. So, but
Oh,
equally,
I
you know,
actually
like,
also remember working for a radio presenter, by the way, who claimed that he did know about that on air and how disgusting it was, but actually had spent the morning Googling what did it mean. So, anyway, carry on.
yeah. But to Ed's point, I think it's a really important one, which is I think there was a heightened moment, I would say, sort of early 2010 through 2016, maybe just like the teens in general, where someone digging up the old tweets, you know, an old Facebook photo of someone in a controversial fancy dress costume that in, I don't know, the mid noughties wouldn't have no one batted an eyelid at, but with modern sensibilities, people found offensive. I do think there's a shift happening around this stuff now, and particularly with the younger generation who have grown up on social media, absolutely petrified of the risk of either cancellation or something embarrassing going viral. Right? Whether it's, I mean, I interviewed Laura Bates at the end of last week, and she was talking about some of these girls and young girls in schools who, you know, deep fake pornography is being produced of them, where, you know, a boy takes their photo and then using one of these AI apps superimposes it into a porn video and travels around the school. You know, said woman has done absolutely nothing wrong. All of the kind of shame and stigma and all of that she feels by dint of just existing, right? By dint of a photo of her being available for somebody else to make that out of. And imagine how and Laura spoke very compellingly about how terrifying and how brutal and how traumatic that is. And if your baseline existence is like, you know, anything on the internet could ruin my life at any given moment. If someone makes a innocuous, unintentional, or I just think our tolerance for people making mistakes, and by the way, I'm not saying that the deep fake porn that is not a mistake.
Yeah, and Gary Lineker should not have shared that.
Yeah, I know. It's disgusting, actually. I mean, you know, as a rat. I mean, like that's not only is it immoral, I think it's actually illegal. I think that sort of stuff in this country.
Deep fake porn.
It's such a niche.
If it exists though.
Yeah, I think our standards of that are changing, and I think the appetite and the desire for cancellation, I think, is waning a little bit.
Especially as like some, you know, like the gaggle of young MPs now, like the ones in their 20s. If it came out that like one of them had posted something about like Ollie is gay on Facebook in 2010, people of our generation would be like, well, everyone was kind of doing that. I do not think this man is actually a homophobe. But like the older kind of boomer press would be like, I don't want to name out any of them. Young MP is homophobic based on this Facebook status. We have a much more nuanced understanding of kind of the way that we were all using social media at that time, and there's a real generation gap between how, I guess, the generation above us, people who weren't at school, I suppose, with social media, know about it and know what was going on, versus like our generation, when we get older and get in positions of power, I think we will probably be a lot more forgiving for sort of like social media cock-ups.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
No?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you spend like a bit of time on TikTok, I do think that they are actually over preoccupied with what people were posting on social media. Millennials were posting. You know, I actually do think that you would get cancelled if you had written Ollie is gay in 2012. I think you'd be cancelled.
What now?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I really don't think it would.
They go mad on it. They like
Teflon.
dox people all the time. Oh, right.
You can't get me. You can't get me. Well, I guess it also means like, you know, what is cancellation? What does it actually mean?
You love this.
I do love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to one certain lunch with one certain editor, and it honestly.
No, because, you know,
Brendan O'Neill.
look,
At this night's lunch.
I'm in my mind palace. Do you know what I mean? It's very in here right now. Like if anything, there's just a faint humming when either of you speak. I just, you know, the words don't come in. I'm so zen. I'm so centered, and whatever fury is going on around and outside me, it does not penetrate.
You can cut through the noise.
Exactly. No, I think if you don't lose your job, have you been cancelled?
Would you?
I mean, obviously, if you do lose your job, I think.
So has Gary Lineker been cancelled?
Well, I think he's quitting.
Well, so look,
It's a
this,
self-imposed cancellation.
Oh no, that
Harakiri.
he's martyred himself.
if a politician had done this in the context of what has been in the news cycle for the last couple of years, if a politician did this,
Yeah.
I would actually say it's probably a resigning matter.
Yeah.
I just think a sports personality, I find it ridiculous.